So it's 4 wins in 4 games for Manchester United and Michael Carrick. And what if I told you this game was over before the red card? Because everyone will talk about Spurs going down to 10 men, but that only explains how bad it got, not why it happened. The real damage was done in the first 25 minutes when Carrick quietly removed every passing lane Spurs needed to breathe. What I'm about to show you is how Carrick dismantled Spurs structurally, forced the mistakes that led to the red card, and why this win had nothing to do with luck and everything to do with the brilliance of Michael Carrick. I can almost hear the haters saying we were lucky and stuff. It was the red card. If Romero stays on, it's a different game. The ref ruins the spectacle, this and that. On the surface, that sounds like a convenient excuse. It's easy to look at a 2-0 scoreline against 10 men and say the math just didn't add up for Spurs. But that narrative is a lie. It ignores the suffocating reality of the first 25 minutes. Long before the ref reached for his pocket, Spurs were already gasping for air. They weren't just losing the ball, they were losing their identity. Every time Micky van de Ven looked up to play a pass, he didn't see a teammate. He saw a wall of red shirts, positioned with terrifying discipline. That's the part the highlights won't show you. The red card didn't change the game, it simply confirmed it. It was the physical breaking point of a team that had been tactically strangled into a state of panic. Spurs didn't just lose a player, they lost a fight they were already failing to show up for. And that's exactly where things get even more interesting. Because the biggest mistake you can make against Michael Carrick's United is believing you can play through them. Thomas Frank came to Old Trafford with a plan A involving building from the back, playing through the lines, and trusting the technical security of his remaining stars. But here's the cold reality. Against this United setup, that plan wasn't just ambitious, it was suicidal. Spurs desperately wanted to play out, but Carrick had built a graveyard for short passes. He knew that without the vertical gravity of James Maddison, Spurs were effectively a car without a steering wheel. Which brings us to the midfield erasure. Look at Xavi Simons. He is their only creative spark left, and he's dropping deeper and deeper just to get a touch. But Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo aren't biting. They are sitting in the gaps, ghosting him out of the game. Carrick deleted Simons from the pitch by simply removing his options. If you can't find your playmaker, you can't find your rhythm. And this is where the pressure valve finally explodes. When a team that wants to play from the back is structurally forbidden from doing so, the frustration becomes physical of their own half. Panic leads to poor timing, and against a team this controlled, that's game over. But being the better team on paper doesn't win you games. You have to actually put the ball in the net. And if the first 30 minutes showed that United had the better plan, the 38th minute showed they had the better coaching. While Spurs were still arguing with the ref about the red card, United were busy running a play they had practiced all week at the training ground. We have to talk about the Jonny Evans factor. After the game, Carrick said this goal belongs to his coach, Jonny Evans. They found a weak spot in how Spurs defend corners, and they attacked it perfectly. Watch this. Most teams just kick the ball high and hope for the best. Not United. Mbeumo goes short to Kobbie Mainoo. Look at the Spurs defenders. They aren't moving. They are so worried about the big players in the middle that they completely forget about the most dangerous man on the field. Mbeumo walks into a massive gap and finishes it easily. He didn't have to fight for that ball. He was waiting for it. It was only 1-0, but the game felt over. I guess Michael Carrick saw what Arsenal were doing and decided that scoring from set pieces shouldn't just be a North London personality trait. The only difference is while Arsenal make it look like a wrestling match, United just made it look like a stroll in the park. But we have to talk about the man making this all possible, Kobbie Mainoo. If Michael Carrick is the architect in the dugout, Kobbie is his avatar on the pitch, and the opening goal was the perfect example of his ice vein composure. When Mbeumo plays that short corner, most young midfielders would panic or rush the cross. Not Kobbie. He does something world-class. He waits. He holds the ball for a split second longer than expected, deliberately baiting the Spurs defenders to step out of their positions. By the time he releases the ball, he's already manipulated the entire Spurs backline. In that 38th minute, it wasn't just a set-piece routine. It was a masterclass in spatial awareness. Kobbie Mainoo is the heartbeat of this revolution, and under Carrick's mentorship, he is becoming genuinely unplayable. Speaking of being unplayable, when a team goes down to 10 men, most people expect the other team to just attack, but that's how you get caught on the counter. Michael Carrick showed real maturity here. Instead of rushing, United simply took the ball and refused to give it back. They finished with over 60% possession. The plan was simple. If Spurs don't have the ball, they can't score.
United moved the ball from side to side, making the 10 men of Spurs run until their legs gave out. To do this, Carrick told his fullbacks Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw to stop staying wide and start moving into the middle. This created a wall of players that Spurs couldn't get through. It kept the game played entirely in Spurs' half, safely away from United's goal. By the 80th minute, Spurs were finished. Thomas Frank tried to save the game by making a triple substitution to try and find an equalizer, but literally 30 seconds later, United killed the game. Diogo Dalot found space on the right wing and whipped a dangerous cross into the box. Benjamin Sesko, who had come off the bench to add some height, rose up and got a tiny, glancing header on the ball. It was just enough to flick the ball perfectly into the path of Bruno Fernandes. The captain didn't even have to think, he just steered a clever finish across the keeper and into the bottom corner. That goal wasn't just a second point on the board, it was Bruno's 200th goal involvement for United. It was the perfect end to a perfect tactical performance. But the sign of a truly elite manager isn't just how he starts a game, it's how he kills it. By the 80th minute, Spurs were exhausted, but they were still technically in the game at 1-0. Thomas Frank made a desperate triple substitution to try and find a late equalizer. He wanted to push Micky van de Ven forward and turn the final 10 minutes into a chaotic scrap. But Carrick saw it coming. He didn't bring on more defenders to protect the lead, he brought on Benjamin Sesko. This was the Sesko Factor. By putting a 6'4" powerhouse on the pitch, Carrick effectively pinned Van de Ven back. Spurs couldn't risk pushing their fastest defender forward because one long ball to Sesko would have ended them. Carrick effectively traded Spurs' last bit of hope for a defensive headache they couldn't solve. And it only took a few minutes to pay off. Those saying Carrick isn't the man for the job need to look at tiny details like this. Look, 4 wins in a row is fantastic, and 8 league games without a single loss is even better. Those are great numbers, but the real story is how United are actually playing. For years, we've just hoped for a moment of magic from one player to save us, but under Michael Carrick, it's different. United finally have a baseline. Even if we're not playing amazing, the team knows where to stand, how to block passes, and how to control the game. Spurs fans will spend all week complaining about the red card, but United fans, we should be talking about the revolution. Because when you beat the biggest teams in the league back-to-back, it isn't luck anymore. So here's my question for you. Is it time to give Carrick the job permanently, or is this just a really good honeymoon phase before things get tough again? I want to hear from you amazing Man United fans around the world. Leave a Carrick in the comments or the name of the big name manager you want this summer. If you liked this breakdown, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next videos coming shortly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.